This year's Super Bowl was about way more than just football. Sure, there was a battle on the field, but a whole other war was being waged during the commercial breaks. It was basically a massive coming out party for the AI industry, and honestly, it's raised some pretty big questions about what's coming next.
So first, to really set the stage, let's just appreciate how huge this event is. Here's a fun fact for you. The Monday right after the Super Bowl is consistently the day with the most people calling in sick to work all year. It's a massive cultural moment, right? A time when practically everyone is glued to their screen. And this year, AI companies were dead set on capturing that attention.
And that really brings us to our main topic. The 2024 game is already being called the AI Bowl by a lot of people, and for very good reason. It was just an absolute advertising blitz from the world of artificial intelligence.
Okay, let's break down the actual numbers. Get this, almost a quarter of all the ads that ran during the game, that's 15 out of 66 total spots, were all about AI. That is a huge slice of the most valuable ad space on the entire planet.
And when we talk about value, we really mean it. The average price tag for just one 30-second commercial was a jaw-dropping $8 million. So this wasn't some small experiment. This was a massive, expensive bet by the AI industry that they were ready for the mainstream.
So, who was opening up their wallets? Well, it was everyone from the industry giants to the brand new disruptors. You had the heavy hitters like OpenAI and Anthropic, both rumored to be thinking about going public. But you also had smaller startups like GenSpark and Base44 trying to make a big splash. And even established brands like Svedka Vodka got in on the action by using AI to create their ad.
But this feeling, this sense of one single tech sector completely taking over the Super Bowl ad space, it feels really familiar. It's giving a lot of people a serious case of déjà vu, reminding them of other tech booms that tried to use the big game as their big moment.
Yeah, this pattern has become a bit of a theme over the years. We saw it back in 2000 with the dot-com bull. We saw it again just a couple of years ago in 2022 with the crypto bull. And now, here we are in 2024 with the AI bull. It really makes you wonder, is this time going to be any different?
Let's start with that first comparison. I want you to cast your mind back to the year 2000. The internet was just exploding, right? And you had this wave of new tech companies with tons of cash and even more ambition. They saw the Super Bowl as their coronation moment.
More than a dozen of these internet startups bought ad spots, and some of these names are now infamous in business history. Pets.com, Epidemic.com, Lifeminders.com. All of them spent millions to get in front of that giant audience. The hype was just completely off the charts.
But here's the part that really matters. The aftermath was absolutely brutal. Just a few months after those super expensive commercials aired, the tech stock bubble burst. And many of those high-flying companies, they just vanished, completely shut down. That Super Bowl ad wasn't a sign of strength, it was a symptom of a bubble at its absolute peak.
Okay, now let's fast forward 2 decades to a more recent and maybe more painful memory, the crypto bull of 2022. I mean, it was the exact same playbook, just with a different technology.
The biggest names in cryptocurrency, FTX, Coinbase, Crypto.com, they all spent a combined $54 million on ads that year. The message was unmistakable. Crypto is the future. And the ads were slick, they were confident, and they were absolutely everywhere.
And the result? You guessed it, another disaster. By the end of that exact same year, FTX had declared bankruptcy in a spectacular collapse, and the stocks of companies like Coinbase had just cratered. History didn't just rhyme, it was pretty much a carbon copy.
So, all of this brings us back to today. With the lessons from the dot-com bull and the crypto bull fresh in our minds, let's take a look at the incredible scale of the financial hype that's swirling around AI right now.
I mean, the comparison to just 2 years ago is pretty stark. The presence of tech companies advertising during the Super Bowl this year was double what it was back in 2022 during the crypto bull. The spending and the focus have just intensified like crazy.
And this spending, it goes way beyond just commercials. The big 4 tech giants, we're talking Google, Microsoft, Amazon, and Meta, are projected to spend an astronomical $650 billion by 2026. And that's just on the fundamental stuff, the infrastructure for AI, like data centers and computing power. The financial commitment is almost hard to wrap your head around.
So, we have to ask the most important question of all. Is this massive flood of money in advertising a signal that we're in a real sustainable revolution? Or is it just the noise of another speculative bubble that's getting ready to pop?
Here's what one longtime investment professional, a guy named George Noble, had to say about it.
He wrote, "When an entire sector floods the most expensive advertising real estate on the planet, it's not a signal to buy. It's a signal to think very carefully about what comes next." That is a powerful warning that's really grounded in what we've seen happen before.
And you know, for all that money they spent, the ads themselves didn't really seem to hit the mark with critics. Adweek only put one AI ad, from Anthropic, on its list of favorites. Meanwhile, the New York Times TV critic ranked OpenAI's ad way down at number 17. This kind of suggests there might be a disconnect between the industry's hype and the actual substance they're delivering to the public.
And all of that leaves us with the final, crucial question. Now, supporters will argue that AI is a foundational technology, that it's more like the internet itself than a speculative thing like crypto. But you can't deny the pattern. So what do you think? Is the AI boom truly different this time, or are we just watching the first act of a play we've already seen twice before?